What's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at this knife. This is the Twosun TS338. It is a button lock thumb stud opening manual knife, and it's pretty thick. It's a thicker little guy, not super long, not super big, and we're gonna check it out. So it's got these weird tan G10 handles. I say weird because it's kind of a interesting color to pick out of G10. You have many options. You could use orange or red or green or whatever, but they chose to use tan. It's kind of the color of baked beans, maybe. Yeah, kind of like a brown, kind of, I don't know, kind of a boring color, but I think it goes well with the knife. We got a lot of different colors going on, but they're not like bright colors. We got the tan, we got this black, we've got the silver, and it's kind of interesting. This has a titanium pocket clip with titanium bolsters. It's a manual button lock. Let's open this up here. Open it up. There's your blade. You see a nice clip point. I love this blade shape. Nice, simple clip point blade. Looks really nice with a nice, good belly, nice edge. Flat ground. You can see there. The flat comes out about halfway to the tip of the blade, I would say, maybe a little bit more. It's got these 3 holes up here, which is kind of interesting. Big, huge barrel thumb studs. These things are huge. Massive, chunky thumb studs for some reason. Not sure why they decided to do that, but kind of interesting. This is a Twosun knife made in China. Runs on bearings. You can see there they got the Twosun, what does it say there? Made in Jiangjin, I don't know how to say that, China. And it says that around the pivot there, and then on this side as well. So this is the side. Here you go. It says TS338, and this is D2 steel, so it's nice, like an acid stone washed D2, kind of like a, I don't know, dark stone washing. I like this finish. I think it looks really good, and it covers the wear really well. You don't show scratches very easily on this blade, which is nice. See there, it's got the titanium bolster is also the liners on the inside there. It's got a little bit of milled out. You can see there, you see the G10 on the inside. They milled it out for weight reduction, which is great. And it's got these nice tan G10 inlays, I would say, onlays. I don't know. Kind of just scales over the titanium. But this button sticks out really far. Look how far that button sticks out. We're going to talk about how that, it's kind of an interesting thing. This pocket clip got a nice standard popsicle pocket clip. These little grooves and the dot, it's kind of cool. And it's a smaller knife, so I can get, let's see, maybe 3. If I squish in, I can get all 4 fingers on there like that, 3 here and then 1 in the choil. But honestly, it's easier to choke up. Put your finger here, put your middle finger in the choil, and then have the 2 rest back here. At least for me, this is easier to hold like this. It's a little bit, you gotta be careful because the cutting edge starts right there, right where your first finger is if you hold it up there. Or you can have 1 finger hanging off, have 2 fingers here, and then have 1 finger in the choil, and then you have a 3-finger knife. So this is kind of interesting. It doesn't really fit my hand great, but I like the design. The choil, like the fingers, don't really match up with where they want you to place them. Maybe because it's so small, it doesn't fit my fingers in my hand very well, because it's a little bit on the smaller end. But most of the time, I usually just squish my hands in there, my fingers in there, and just make it work like that. Simple button lock to release the blade. Drop shut. Completely drop shut. This is like the most drop shutty knife ever. I mean, you can watch it. Like, here, ready? I'm gonna watch how smooth this is. That's pretty amazing as far as pivot smoothness goes. Like you drop it, it's just like a pendulum. Whee! It's kind of cool. And that's with having completely solid lockup. So pretty impressive there that they have completely solid lockup, no movement at all, and this kind of action. They're doing something right if you can do that on a knife, at least in my opinion. Very smooth. The snappy D10, very snappy D10. It's not really D10 obviously because it's a plunge lock, but what's acting as a D10 is very reliable. Flicks out there very nice, especially because there's so much, there's like no resistance. It's free floating, so there's no resistance in that pivot at all, like not very much at all. So it's very easy to, sorry, grab the blade. It's very easy to flick it out. You just with the thumb studs, give it a little flick, and it's out. You can reverse flick it, which is great. Works well. There is a slight hair of detent lash. You can see there where it hasn't quite fallen in its spot. A little bit of wiggle when it's closed. You can see there. But it's not too bad at all. It's not super noticeable. Definitely doesn't, impact the functionality of the knife at all. This blade is very nice and tall, clip point. Slices really well. It's got a nice factory edge on there. I use this a little bit, but not too much. The time that I've had it. It's a little bit of a smaller guy. It's got this nice backspacer with a hidden lanyard loop. I like the way they did that. It's a good thing. And a nice backspacer wraps all the way around. I think that looks good. Good way to do that. So it look clean. They have this interesting bulge out on this side, I guess because they needed more room for this mechanism, the button lock mechanism. Just kind of interesting. I'm not sure what that has to do with the mechanism, but I guess they need more room for it. The button doesn't stick out much when it's closed. I mean, a little bit, obviously, more than normal usually. I'll compare it to some other button locks here in a second, but usually it doesn't stick out quite that much, but this one does. And then when it's open, it sticks out a lot, even more, because obviously it's engaged. But you can see there, it comes off the frame quite a bit. I'd say that's definitely a couple millimeters at least. So easy to disengage, no grinding on that button. Just kind of push it in and it drops. It's very easy because it sticks out so much, you can't really miss it. But the other thing is, when you're holding it, depends on how you hold it. If you hold it up there, you don't really hit it. If you hold it down here, you're not going to hit it. Now, if you're left-handed, you got to be careful because if you're holding it like this, you're almost on the button. If you're holding it like this, you are on the button. And if I pinch too hard, I've gotten it to do it before. Like when you're just using it, you can get it to disengage. So you just want to be careful if you're left-handed where you're putting your fingers. But right-handed, not really an issue, not really a problem. Unless you're holding it like this, and then you gotta be careful because you'll push it down there. So because if I'm holding it like this, I can just push with my knuckle and it's closed. So you gotta be careful where your thumb is, I guess. That's why they put this jimping up here. Very nice little jimping. Fit your finger in there. Feels great. And I think it's awesome. Let's do some size comparisons. I love what acts as the D10 on this knife. It's very snappy. Let's compare it to ProTech Mordax because this is another button lock, full-size button lock. And we'll also compare it to the CGRB large pyrite. There you go. So definitely a smaller knife. Of course, this is an XL, the large pyrite, but the Mordax is pretty medium full-size knife. You can see there. Let's compare it to some other knives. Those are button locks. Let's compare it to the PM2, and of course the Para 3. If I can get it out of here. There we go. Para 3. So you can see it's very similar to the size of the Para 3, I would say. Definitely closer in size to that knife. I would say very similar blade length, but the cutting edge, it has more cutting edge because the Para 3 doesn't have a great, has less cutting edge, obviously, than most knives. You can see there. And we'll also compare it to the Benchmade Bug Out. So you can see there, a little bit shorter than the Bug Out, but definitely fatter up and down, a little bit taller, I would say. And then we'll also compare it to the QSP Penguin. There you go. See there? Just about the same length as the Penguin, I would say. Yet maybe a little bit more, slightly more cutting edge, but very similar in size to those knives. And actually, the Bug Out has almost exactly the same cutting edge. Yeah, pretty much exactly the same amount of cutting edge as a Bug Out. So if you know size of a Bug Out, that's kind of what you're working with. The space for your hand, though, isn't as open as the Bug Out is. So it's more defined where you should put your fingers than the Bug Out is. The Bug Out's more open. So that's something to think about. And yeah, so I'll compare this to these other button locks I have here. When these are open, you can see here, you have a lot less buttons sticking up. You can see that. And then when they're closed, it's kind of the same deal. You have a lot less buttons sticking up. This one's almost not quite flush with the handle. And it's the same thing with the Mordax. You can see there's almost none on the Mordax when it's closed sticking up. And then when it's open, there's a whole lot less as well. Here, let's see it this way. There's a whole lot less of the button sticking out. past the handle. So that's something to think about. The button does protrude a lot from the handle. Kind of like these thumb studs. These thumb studs come out further than they need to, I think. They're a little bit bigger. They're very easy to engage and disengage. They're a little bit sharp because they made this like knurling on the edges and stuff. But it works all right, and they do work really well when you're using it. It's a little bit sharp, and they're really big for some reason. Don't know why they did that. A traditional stop pin there, so not really any shouldering, but it locks up fine. So no problems with that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say with Twosun. This knife, this Twosun TS338. I will compare it, last comparison, to the other Twosun knife that I have. Which is, actually I have to go find it, hang on. Sorry about that, it was sitting in my other case. This is, I'll compare it to this Twosun knife. This is my Twosun TS, or the Twosun, yeah, the TS390. So I'll compare it to that one. As you can see, that's a massive knife. So nowhere near the size of that one at all. I'll line them up even. So definitely lots more than that knife. So if you've recognized these are the only Twosuns I have, and I quite like this one. I like them both, actually. This is a pretty good knife on its own. But if you have this one, you can see it's definitely a lot bigger than this guy. So it's another comparison for you. The last thing we'll do is we'll take the weight on this knife. See how much it weighs. It's kind of a little hefty, chunky boy. That's what it feels like. It's got a lot of heft. We got 4.3 ounces, so not super heavy. Definitely within the range of carrying without, you know, feeling like you're carrying around something heavy. You can definitely carry it normally. I would be more worried about how wide it is, how like thick it is. I'll compare it here to a PM2. You definitely see it's got way more thickness to it. It's a little bit chunkier. This is a little lightweight Para 3 compared to that. So it's definitely a lot wider compared to the Mordax. So you see there, it's a lot thicker than normal other knives are. So you definitely might notice that. It is contoured, which is nice. Got nice contouring, which makes it comfy in the hand. Nice chamfers. Not sharp anywhere except on studs, really. But you will notice how wide it is in your pocket, especially with this pocket clip sticking up even more. But overall, pretty good knife, pretty good design. I like it. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this knife. Let me know what other Twosun knives you guys like, what other ones I should check out. And that's about it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and have a great day. Bye.